I want to talk a little off topic and more so into this subject of mental health when it comes to investing in cryptocurrency, specifically like Bitcoin or altcoins, because obviously there's, no shortage of like doomer like posts on like social media. There's a lot of just like, market psychology that's coming into place. There's a lot of nervousness in the market. I've fallen, victim to this before too, where I wasn't sleeping and I wasn't prioritizing like my health, my fitness, hydration, going for like long walks, getting my sunlight, interacting with people, getting into the real world, or maybe focusing on like a side hustle. And I know what it feels like when you're just, staring at screens. Maybe you're over allocated, or you're just like maybe in trades, or you just don't know what the right thing to do is. And at the end of the day, you really need to prioritize your mental state because, you know, I know that a lot of people probably lose sleep over what's going on with the charts and what the news is doing and all that kind of stuff. And so number one, I would say if this is you, it's probably because you're very over leveraged, not necessarily like in leveraged positions, but maybe like you've taken on, loans to buy this crypto, or maybe you're just like overly diverse and you just see like these altcoins going up and down way too much. Maybe you don't have like Bitcoin as like the main, stability driver, so to speak, for your portfolio, which is pretty arguably like not very sturdy right now, to be fair. But there's just a lot of things that I see investors kind of go through, and I've been through them myself. And so I think that number one, if you're not sleeping and you're not prioritizing your health and your mental health, you're going to make very bad investing decisions. Usually they're going to be like very impulsive and they're not going to lead to anything good. So that's number one. I think that if you can find a way to prioritize your sleep first and foremost, and then obviously you want to have, 15, 20 minutes of sunlight, some hydration, hit the gym, go for like a walk outside, maybe even like meditate outside, just like in silence, think about, the things that you want to accomplish. And then maybe focus on like, maybe not staring at the charts, maybe like, you have a side hustle or some sort of like passion that, fuels you and makes you happy and fulfills you, because it's not fun staring at charts all day and just like, waiting for like the price to go up or reverse or do whatever you want it to do. And it's a very frustrating thing. And I think that market makers know this and they prey on this. And the best thing you can do is just, have a strategy, stick to it, and prioritize yourself as well. Because even if you have conviction, there's a thesis as to like how that came up, right? And as long as you stick to it, like maybe it doesn't work out, but it was your plan. And if you start making irrational decisions and maybe something huge happens where it doesn't work out in that scenario, then you're going to feel twice as bad, because it's just like that you're acting on emotion. And usually what happens is, what I will say to kind of like spin this as a positive, is whenever people really start like worrying and they think about all this kind of stuff and like sentiment's never been worse, it's usually a good sign of reversal. That's not to say it's going to happen like right away or like in the next couple days, but if you stick around long enough, most people will make money if you're in, good pristine assets, which is why it's always good to have a very heavy, base when it comes to your cryptocurrencies. Like maybe it's like Bitcoin, maybe it's like Ethereum, Solana, like the main higher cap market coins, like when it comes to crypto. And obviously if you're like overly diversified in smaller coins, and maybe consider consolidating them in a way that's not going to wreck you if they go down like 90%, because if we do go into like a bearish trend and we keep this going, they're going to go down a lot more than these blue chips, so to speak. So they're all going to go down, but those are going to go down probably the worst. And you need to really think about what's going to bother you or affect you more so than the other option, right? So it's like, would I rather consolidate this stuff and maybe lose maybe 30 or 40% worst case scenario? Or do I want to hold on to these very speculative coins and that goes down like 90%? And then we obviously like, Bitcoin is like the main character of crypto. And so it always makes sense to have that as like some sort of backbone when it comes to your portfolio, because it's always going to come around. Like even if we go into a bear trend and everything goes down, we all know that Bitcoin's going to ultimately like head up higher, make new all-time highs. It's just a matter of time and a waiting game. So yeah, just prioritize yourself. Prioritize your mental health. Maybe reach out to your friends that you probably like, let's be honest, you're neglecting them, right? Or like a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, your family. Check in with those people that care about you, and just realize why you got into the space to begin with. It's to change your life for the better, not to be a slave to like the charts and like the price action and just in this like emotional hell, so to speak. So just I wanted to talk on just like the health and the mental health like aspect of investing, because it's not talked about enough. And it's very frustrating, especially, as investors. It's usually like alone, like you're alone, right? A lot. And it's just, I've been there and a lot of my friends have been there. And so it's really important to have a good system in place and just have a really strong mentality. And you need to be rested, because that's going to be like number one. So Hope that content helps you. Stick around, subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend who's probably going through it, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.